She mumbled in a daze. I'm married. Let go of me. I won't let you do this. For some reason, Chase's eyes became watery. He and Celia had their massive disagreements sometimes, but they really were on the same side. Hearing her words, he became even angrier at Dennis and Jason. Baby girl, I'm here. Let's go home. He lightly patted Celia's shoulder and helped her stand. Just as he was about to leave, he finally walked up to Jason. Glancing at him, he squeezed a few words from between clenched teeth. I won't ever forget this. Walking past Chuck, Chase whispered, Make sure he remembers. Chuck nodded and whipped his fist up, breaking Jason's nose in a single lightning-quick strike. Stunned, Miles let Chase, Chuck, and the other guard through. They listened to Jason's cries, but nobody turned back as they made their way out of the hotel. When they were at the entrance of the hotel, Chase saw a Mercedes parked in front of the main doors. An older man walked into the lobby and stopped when he got close to them. Mr. Rothman. The man's eyes widened. When he saw the group's appearance, he greeted them cautiously. Chase had never seen him before, so he looked the men up and down and asked in confusion. You are? I'm Roland Zimmerman. We just spoke on the phone. Oh. Chase only partially understood. Why are you here? I thought you lived in New York. I'm here at a friend's request, so I thought I would come over here and apologize personally. Where is that bastard Dennis? Chase's tone was relaxed as if nothing had happened. Upstairs in his room. Pausing for a moment, he turned to look at Roland. I hope you weren't expecting grandkids. Roland chuckled darkly. Even if I was, they wouldn't be part of the Zimmerman family. I don't take this kind of thing lightly. And I hope you don't hold my family responsible. Chase was reasonable, having vented his anger earlier. Everything was Dennis's fault. You had no idea. Roland was relieved. Right. Mr. Rothman, I also heard from Tim that your daughter is suffering from a congenital heart disease. I came to town to help you deal with this matter. Really? Tim had already told Chase about it, but he hadn't expected to meet the doctor at a time like this. Didn't Tim send you my daughter's report? Chase asked. He did. Roland quickly answered. Can it be cured? Usually, the doctor replied. What's the success rate? Chase asked nervously. 80%. That's better than any doctor I've talked to yet. Chase said in a low voice. Are you sure we can't make it higher? Well... Roland's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He didn't dare to offend the man who had already been wronged today. Mr. Rothman, without knowing more, I can only offer a success rate of 80%. But before I came here, I've already contacted the cardiologist from your local hospital. We will start building a treatment plan and do everything in our power to raise the odds. Okay. Chase nodded in satisfaction. This was what he wanted to hear. Mr. Rothman, can I go to the hospital to check on your daughter's condition tonight? Chase looked at Celia, who was leaning heavily on him and wanted to take her home first. However, Celia, who was starting to recover, shook her head. Dottie. Chase nodded and agreed. Sure. Let's go to the hospital first. Excellent. The famed doctor opened his car door for Chase and Celia and drove them to the Lauderdale Hospital. On the third floor, Chase brought Celia into the ward, which still had the lights on. He originally thought they had a simple meeting, but he was shocked when they arrived at his daughter's room. It was empty. His daughter and the bodyguards had disappeared. In a split second, Chase's freshly calmed heart tensed again. He'd received no message from the doctors. There was no reason for his daughter to be gone. Anxious, Chase put Celia down on the empty bed. He quickly checked the bathroom, the nurse's office, and the vending machines. but he couldn't find Dottie or Chuck's men. He checked the nurse's station, but there didn't seem to be any nurses on duty. When he couldn't find anyone, he was sure something bad had happened. Chase tried not to panic. There were two people that mattered most in his life: his wife, who he had just saved from a terrible assault, and his daughter, who was now missing. For these two people, he'd give up anything. He'd climb mountains or swim oceans. He could accept being insulted and looked down upon, but he would never let any harm befall those two. But now, while he was rescuing one, something had happened to the other. Chase's heart pounded. He touched his daughter's blanket, which was still a little bit warm, and his fear threatened to overwhelm him. Someone must have taken her away. Calm down, he thought. Find a clue. Seeing Chase's worry, Roland quickly said, Mr. Rothman, I don't think you should panic. Your daughter can't have gone far. I'll do whatever I can to help you find her. Chase didn't have time to thank him. At this moment, Celia's phone rang. Celia was still drunk and had fallen asleep again. Chase picked up her phone and saw it was his mother-in-law, Patricia. Thinking that something might have happened at the banquet, he pressed the answer button. Hello? When Patricia heard his voice, she was also surprised.
Chase? Is that you? Why do you have Celia's phone?
Long story. He didn't have time or interest in talking to her.
Did she go to meet Jason Young? She said she wanted to find a cardiologist for Dottie. Did she leave her phone with you?
So Patricia knew that Celia had gone to meet the two Youngs. Suppressing the anger in his heart, Chase said, Jason and that so-called cardiologist nearly assaulted her. I only barely managed to stop them.
What?
Although Patricia and Chase never got along, they both still cared about Celia.
Is she okay? How is she now?
She's all right. She just drank a little too much. Nothing happened to her. Patricia started cursing.
Celia went to them begging for help, and they took advantage of her. Chase, you're supposed to protect her. You're supposed to provide so she doesn't have to consider people like that. What good are you?
He really did not want to argue with Patricia. She was very stressed, so he tried to excuse her. Still, he wasn't in any mood to discuss his merits with her. All right, let's not talk about this now. I'm really busy. I have to go look for my daughter. Patricia became even more excited when she heard his dismissive tone.
Too busy to talk about your wife and how you failed to protect her? How can you even think you're worthy of her? And now you're casually saying Dottie's missing?
Chase had had a really long day and had heard enough about Patricia's abuse. He immediately snapped. Do you care about my wife, your daughter, or do you just want to complain at me? If you want to help, then help. If you don't, then don't bother us, okay? After saying that, he hung up the phone. He felt very gloomy. Jeez, what is her problem? Chase suddenly felt a tiny bit jealous of Dennis. He wouldn't have to deal with his in-laws ever again. Must be nice. As for Patricia, when she heard Chase hung up on her, her anger threatened to boil over. Recently, this brat has really gotten bold. He was becoming more and more disrespectful every day. She was angry at Chase, but she had to admit they both loved Celia. She was Patricia's daughter, and Dottie was her granddaughter. Differences aside, the Sampsons and Rothmans could at least come together for the little girl's good. Since there was no one to watch Celia, and Chuck had suspiciously disappeared, Chase couldn't leave for the time being. Ronald had already left the hospital, saying that he would use his connections to help find Dottie. At the same time, Chase had called Tim and asked for help. They would turn Laudervale upside down tonight. If they didn't find her soon, they'd call the police. Although Roland and Tim were doing everything they could, Chase was furious that he could only sit and wait in the hospital ward. If Celia's condition improved even slightly, he would immediately go out to look for their daughter. After about 20 minutes, Patricia finally arrived at the hospital, along with Sicily and her fiancé, Quentin. Chase thought that Patricia and the others would come eventually, but he didn't expect them to arrive so quickly. He had pretty much written off his family, but when he saw Patricia walk in, he raised his head and called out, "Thank goodness you're here." However, Patricia didn't give him any warmth and said coldly,
"I'm not here for your sake. Since you can't do anything right, I'll just have to do it myself. How is Celia?"
Chase didn't argue with her. He merely pointed toward the bed and said, "Over there." Patricia frowned when she saw Celia, who was still asleep. The smell of alcohol filled the entire room. At the same time that she felt sorry for Celia, she was also furious at Chase for letting this happen. Chase had considered ready to rejecting Patricia's offer to help, but since they were already here, he could finally go and look for Dottie. He was incredibly worried about her safety, so she immediately headed for the door. As Chase stood, a sharp voice struck his back. "Now that we're here, you're just going to leave? You're such a good husband." It was Sicily. She never knew when to shut up. She was so annoyed because Patricia had come to her in the middle of the night and insisted that they go take care of Celia. But Chase, after everything, was a powder keg. "What did you say?" He stopped walking and rounded on her.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.